welcome back to another episode of the Standing Room Only podcast, episode number 118. Today we're going to talk a little bit about baseball. We are a couple of weeks into the season so far. So far, so nice. We got NBA playoffs. We're gonna talk a little bit about each series, some a little bit more than the others, some surprise teams, some very surprising teams that let some of us down in our predictions. As always, make sure you are following us. We are SR Only Pod. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. You can follow us on TikTok as well. We're on Spotify. If you are looking to listen or watch us, you can do that on Spotify. So check us out. We are on Apple Podcasts and YouTube as well. Our personal accounts on social media, I'm iGoose with 4 O's. I am on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. And then we have Healy as well.
Hey, you can follow me at the Healy6 on Twitter, Instagram. Basketball, NBA playoffs. We're still in the first round. Didn't get to talk about opening. Didn't get to talk about the playoffs last week. We've seen some series finish. Actually, only one series has finished since the last time we've recorded. Probably the most surprising one of the bunch. We'll hop right into it. The Boston Celtics swept the Brooklyn Nets. A lot of people had Brooklyn making the finals. I remember seeing some predictions of people putting the Celtics in the finals and thinking, how are they going to beat the Nets? And after the Nets, how are they going to beat the Bucks? We saw why. I gotta apologize for not thinking the Celtics were that great of a team. I've been slandering them for quite a bit now.
I thought it was a nice little run after the new year, around All-Star break, pretty much since Christmas. They were the hottest team in the NBA, definitely in the East. They continued that. Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year, continued to be a menace on defense. I have no words to describe the Nets in the playoffs because there were some really, really close games. It wasn't like it was a blowout in every game.
Yeah, game one, Kyrie went off, but KD was not there. Both Kyrie and Kevin Durant, they didn't click together in the same game.
That's a major issue. When you are missing your big three, James Harden obviously gets traded. You don't have Ben Simmons, who we don't know what the hell's going on with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons doesn't know what the hell's going on with Ben Simmons at this point. Durant in Game 4 had a very nice game. He had 39 points. Seth Curry shot well. That was actually a damn good game. I was kind of pulling for the Nets because Drake had a nice little parlay to win $2 million. He had the Nets money line. But Durant, if you look at the numbers, Game 1, 23 points on 9 of 24 shooting, way under 50%. Game 2, 27 points on 4 of 17, way under 50%. Game 3, over 50%. He was 6 of 11, but only scored the 16 times. Only went to the free throw line twice. And then, of course, he dropped 39, way under 50% in Game 4. But guys who are relied upon against a very good defensive team, shout out to the Celtics. Not only did they prove that offensively, they actually can do it with Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. Even if we look at Grant Williams was a corner specialist in Game 4. The Celtics said, put some damn respect on my name, and I cannot. I think the Celtics are I'm giving them their credit. I still don't know how they're going to beat the Bucks, assuming the Bucks do take the series from the Bulls.
Al Horford had a pretty decent series too.
Al Horford's nice. For his age, he's doing it. He's that veteran that every team looks to get when they go out and get a little bit older Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. We've seen it with
Pau Gasol with the Bulls.
I was going to say Pau Gasol, yeah. And Game 1, Celtics win by a point. Game 2 by 7. Game 3 by 6. Game 4 by 4. To me, that's coming down to the last couple possessions. Every single game. The Nets didn't have time to get that chemistry going. Kyrie obviously had to miss a lot of time because of the vaccine mandate, which was eventually lifted. Even then, Boston is they're not slowing down. To me, this was going to be the toughest matchup next to Milwaukee. Again, assuming Milwaukee wins. Shout out to Jason Tatum, who actually may end up being a multi MVP in this league, because that dude continues to improve on his game and his IQ. His little sidestep that obviously he's been doing for a couple of seasons gets better and better. This isn't a crazy step back. This is it's like a sidestep. Keeps the ball in his shooting hand away from the defender. You can't stop it. The dude's what, 6'7", 6'8", shooting the long ball. I like the Celtics. They proved me wrong. I had them eliminated in the first round in 5 games.
Yeah, I think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving combined in the last 2 games in the fourth quarter scored like 15 points total. Combined in 2 games of in the fourth quarter. They would not get any clean shots. They would get smothered every time they touched the ball. There were so many turnovers Kevin Durant had.
Yeah.
And with Kyrie, that it created turnovers that led to buckets for the Celtics. And due to that defense alone, the Celtics could end up reaching the finals, especially in round 2. They're looking like they're going to go up against the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Milwaukee Bucks don't have Chris Middleton. That's going to be a huge piece that they're missing out on.
That is going to be now, I don't know if you want to transition to the Bucks series, but we are seeing some shit with the Bucks that in this series, and I know it's not saying a lot against this Bulls defense that obviously is on a major decline, but there's a man by the name of Grayson Allen who is arguably one of the best pure shooters in the game that I didn't even know about.
Yeah. I do have one question before we move on to the next series.
Hit me.
Was last year the best chance the Nets have at winning a championship? Even with their injuries like in the playoffs? Having James Harden, having Kyrie, Durant was unbelievable last year. They went 6 games, 7 games with the Bucks. They're only
Whoever came out of the East was winning the finals. So yeah, because I mean, let's face it, the Phoenix Suns, first time really all being in the playoffs minus Chris Paul. Chris Paul's never even been in the finals until then, and we saw what happened. Yeah. I thought the Nets last year, if they pulled that series off, I was actually rooting for them just because of how much heart Durant had in that series and others. It all depends on next year. Next year's a possibility if they can keep their band together.
Needs a little bit of a restructure.
It definitely
Ben Simmons has to play one, but they also need a restructure with their like bench roles.
Yeah, their team is a little odd because we saw Blake Griffin late in the series, who actually, I don't know why we didn't see much more of him considering the energy he brought. And he was a little menace on defense too. Didn't really see, I don't know if Aldridge is hurt. It was just they went with the 8-man rotation. A lot of teams do that in the playoffs.
And
but
Claxton couldn't hit a free throw. That really hurt them.
Didn't he set the NBA record for most consecutive to start a game, like 9 or 8? Beat Shaq?
I have no idea.
Yeah, he beat Shaq's record. Shaq wanted that record. I think it was like 8 straight free throws to start the game. Missed. And I think he ended up going 0 for 9 or 0 for 10. Set a record. And if you think about it, 10 points would have been the difference right there. Because that puts the pressure on the Celtics now.
Yeah, and even Claxton, like as a center, it just didn't really. They need a restructure, especially because Kevin Durant isn't. He plays the power forward position, but you'd rather have like the Giannis type of lineup where it's Giannis and then you have Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez to help you out.
Oh my gosh, it's not even fair. I agree though. They definitely. I mean, if they can somehow swing him down to the 3, you can run him, Ben Simmons, Kyrie. somehow get another four, like just a solid four, like an actual power forward traditional. That'd be a sick team. I still think the Nets moving forward are a top 4 seed if they get their shit together, if they can play the full season. And it's not like obviously there's a disconnect, but it wasn't like, oh, Kyrie's upset with the team, so they're not playing well. Kyrie obviously made the executive decision to not get the vaccine. And so it's tough for the team, and also not, with the drama with, I wouldn't even call it drama, just James Harden out of nowhere is like, I want to get traded. I want to go play for Morey again, and this time in Philly. It's like there was some things that just didn't. There were some cracks in the foundation. Let's put it that way. So still surprising that they got shut out against Boston, because I have yet to look at Boston like a real team. I have yet to look at Jason Tatum as a guy who, yeah, he scores. He's had a couple 50-point games in his career. I think he had a 60-point game a year ago. He's all right. Is he a winner? I didn't see it. I didn't see that team as a team that can really compete in a series. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, Jaylen Brown's been around the block. He's had some damn good games in his career. Many. Jason Tatum, at this point, he's been around the block. Al Horford, veteran piece. Marcus Smart's been in the league for, he's not old, but he's been in the league long enough, and he's been a menace defensively. Offensively,
I think he's played 70 games in the postseason.
Yeah, he's played quite a bit. And shout out to Marcus Smart offensively, because that dude, when he's called upon, is pretty damn clutch. Marcus Smart can hoop. So, again, this Celtics team, considering what they've had in the recent past, I'm surprised that this is the team emerging when they've had the Gordon Haywards, they've had the Isaiah Thomases, they've had the Kyries, they've had all these great players. And now you look, and right now it's just the complete team, the dynamic. They've been together. They went through a slow start. This is the team. This is the team. This is probably the most team, the best dynamic of a team in the East, next to maybe like Miami. Philadelphia looks good too. Toronto actually looks kind of good. But Miami and then Boston, the top 2 teams.
Yeah, going back to the original question, I think last year was their best chance. We're seeing the East get better. The East was absolutely stacked this year, and Kevin Durant turns 34 before the next season. Is he gonna, like, every season from here on out? We know he's one of the best scorers in NBA history, but time always defeats everyone. So, will he be as explosive and put up MVP numbers like he has the past couple of seasons?
Yeah.
I think he could, but I don't know if it's just going to be a question mark, and the Nets are going to be up there in odds, but their best chance was definitely last season.
I agree. I agree completely. I just don't, as a Bulls fan, as a fan of the East,
bring him to Chicago.
Oh God, come on now! I'm not wearing my fan hat today, Healy. It'd be dope.
Sign and trade Zach LaVine to the Nets. Bring him to Chicago. If the Nets like to make
moves, give us Ben Simmons if he decides to play. That'd be cool. I'll take Ben Simmons and Lonzo. Be a crazy defensive duo, and then just let DeMar shoot. DeMar and Vooch.
Yeah, Lonzo, DeMar, KD, Patrick Williams, and then Vooch.
Gosh, I can't even think about our team for the. I don't even. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Next series, though, we got to talk about. Let's keep it in the East. We have the unfortunate can of ass whooping that the Milwaukee Bucks are putting on the Bulls. The series is 3-1. Bulls had a 30-point defeat in Game 3. They competed in Game 4 a little bit. Second game at home. Ended up losing. Bobby Portis is too much for the Bulls. Brook Lopez, at times, can be too much for the Bulls. Grayson Allen, many times, since Middleton's out,
He
It's too
led
much
the
for the
game
Bulls.
one time.
He almost led the game twice.
Yeah.
He started like 4 for 4 from downtown. You start 4 for 4 from downtown. That's buckets. That's 12 points. You know what I mean? If you score 50 points and a half, that's good. He got 12 of that, and you're talking Grayson Allen?
Mm-hmm.
The man who took out Alex Caruso, Grayson Allen? Bobby Portis, who used to be on the Bulls. Can you imagine if we had Bobby Portis matched up with Vooch in the paint? Or whatever we could do whatever. We can literally do whatever. They have Bobby Portis, who's damn near 7 foot. They have Giannis, who's damn near 7 foot. They have Brook Lopez, who's damn near 7 feet tall. All can shoot. Brook he's not the best 3-point shooter. They grab offensive rebounds. And then the Bulls are just what we've seen since All-Star break, since Lonzo went down.
First 2 games were a completely different team than I've seen them play against good
The
teams.
intensity was great. The defense was great.
Vooch played great.
Vooch, to me, has been... It's weird to say, but if Vooch doesn't have a good game, we stand no chance. But, like, do we still look at... I think I look at DeMar the same that I looked at him a few months ago. I still think he's one of the best in the game right now. And he's played good basketball. But, like, I just don't feel it from DeMar. I don't feel it from Levine.
Yeah, this series has made me think that the Bulls should not retain Levine on a Supermax. I get that he's battled through injuries this season. He's missing tomorrow's game due to COVID. It's just, I don't think he's worth $40 million to be, he's not a number 1 guy in a team. He doesn't have that takeover factor. He's not a top caliber player in the league, and to win championships, you have to have one of the best guys in the league on your team. You can win with a good team. There are good teams that win. We've seen it in the past, but majority of the time, the team that wins has one guy on it who is like top 5, top 10 in the league.
And Levine showed signs of that, and I don't know if he is just took the back seat because DeMar.
Yeah, team basketball or something.
But to me, Bulls fans are gonna hate this. My opinion is, as a fan, I love the flash, but I love the victories. The flash is cool. You can give me 30 points with a 360 dunk. But if I know that because your contract is going to really make it a tough situation to build around, and there's evidence that you have knee issues still. We know you've had a torn ACL in the past. $40 million, 5 years, super max, $200 million, whatever he's going to get. I, as a fan, am okay with a sign-and trade. I just hope it's for the right pieces. There was a trade rumor, and of course it's a rumor. I've seen one where it's like Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, whatever. Like that's not a good like what do we get in there? These are guys that don't really score. Their defense is mediocre. I look at the shooting guard position as I look at the running back position in the NFL. You can pay the shooting guard, but in games where Levine was out, did Kobe White not put up the same numbers? I mean, granted, he had a couple of bad games, but he put up very good numbers. I'm not saying he should be a starter. But to me, the running back generally doesn't help win a Super Bowl. Maybe he does. But we've seen it with Derrick Henry, best running back in the game. Did they go to the Super Bowl? No. Zach LaVine could be a top 5 shooting guard in the league. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't correlate. It doesn't translate. And unfortunately, what he does on the court isn't translating to wins.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be different if we had a better paint presence? Maybe we didn't get Vooch. Maybe we trade Vooch. Maybe we keep Levine. And I mean, maybe he's cool. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna save you guys $15 million on the cap. Go get somebody. Trade Vooch. All right. But not, you can't give him the max. He's going to want the max because why wouldn't he get the max?
Yeah, the way the team's constructed, it's not a championship caliber team, and there needs to be some turnaround on it. It's either Levine has to go and they get some good pieces back and they hope someone signs in free agency, or they trade Vooch. They re-sign Levine, trade Vooch to somewhere, and then use that money to try to get some better athletic big men. Because if they could improve their defense in that side of the floor, the pick and roll defense, and just have better guys who can run that spot, it'd be better off.
Yeah, every team that I'm thinking of that competes, have a big man that plays big man in the paint. He's not sitting here at the top of the key shooting threes 15 times a game. And then we are undersized in the paint. We can't grab offensive rebounds like these other teams. And that's another thing, too, is that I kept. I mean, I don't know if you noticed it, but I'm like, the first few games, it was pick and roll, or it'd be a pick and pop. He'd fade out, and the Bulls would drive instead of getting a foul. One game, they got Giannis in foul trouble. That was it. They were getting to the line one game. They don't get to the free throw line. And I don't understand if it's because, to me, it's weird that DeMar gets to the free throw line the most, and he's the one, he goes to the line shooting mid-range jumpers. We have nobody forcing their way to the basket. I understand the Bucks have a good in-paint defense, but that's kind of like, you're not going to win if you don't go to the free throw line. Bucks are going 15 times, Bulls go 3-4 times. It's like, that's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. Do you think, I have a question for you. And obviously it seems like every Bulls fan's excuse is, well, if we had Lonzo, we'd win. How do you feel the series would go if we had Lonzo Ball, we're fully healthy?
I think it'd be closer. I don't think they'd win, though. I still feel like the Bucks would pull it out, but it would be like a 6 or 7 game series, every game close. Like we saw the first game, the Bulls almost had a chance to win. We saw game 2, the Bulls actually won. I get that Lonzo's a facilitator, he plays defense, but he's not that much of an impact player in this series when we have guys clicking. It's not like, oh damn, we missed out on 20 points from him and his usual 10 assists. I think the Bulls picked up pretty well in his spot, but I don't think it was changing against having Giannis, Bobby Portis, all the height, Brook Lopez, Grayson Allen shooting lights out. And it doesn't help. I put out on Twitter, I'm like, how do you stop Giannis from scoring without getting him to the free throw line? Because I feel like none of these games have come down to the refs, but I feel like the refs treat him differently. They didn't call him for that over the back in game 1 where he should have fouled out.
Yeah. Yep.
He doesn't get those foul calls. He doesn't get offensive foul calls. And then anytime the ball doesn't go in the basket, he's shooting free throws.
He gets a lot of calls. He gets a lot of no calls against him too.
He's athletic enough to get some, no doubt about it. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve some of them, but I feel like there's some free throws he's getting that he shouldn't be getting.
Yeah, superstar treatment. I agree with you though. If Lonzo was there, it would be a different game because now you have Lonzo who can stay in the perimeter. You have Zach who can stay in the perimeter. Your typical point guard, shooting guard. DeMar. And then Vooch might be able to grab more offensive rebounds. Maybe not. The Bucks are a big team. So yes, it would be a different dynamic, but I just don't think that the team is there when it comes to competing in a 7-game series against this. But the Bucks, to me, are still arguably the best team in the NBA. Just because of how they work together. Jrue Holiday, this might be the best version of Jrue Holiday that I've seen, or it's just the Bulls are that bad in this series. I've known Jrue Holiday to be one of the best point guards, but man, he's shooting lights out. He's pulling the trigger quick. He's hitting some long range threes. He's getting to the paint. He's doing it all. So regardless if Lonzo's there or not, it would have been Bucks in 6, more than likely. So,
which is unfortunate. I'm excited to see Lonzo come back next season. See what he can do.
absolutely,
Needs
I'm
to have
ready.
a full healthy season because I think it's been a couple of years where he hasn't played more than like 60 games.
This is the year. He's still super young, so if he rehabs, he'll be good. One series that I think we can get through real quick is Miami Atlanta. I think we everybody in the world can agree that Miami's just way OP, overpowered defensively. Like it's just way too much, and then obviously offensively, they have a bunch of guys who could just shoot the ball. So it's like,
Yeah, they're gonna win today without Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler, and the Hawks is a one-man show with Trae Young. It's a 6-point game at the moment, but Miami's gonna pull it out. They're just solid defensively, and they're gonna do their possessions.
yeah, I see Oladipo's playing. Oladipo, second game of the series, already at 16 points. Bogdanovich isn't playing for Atlanta. Yeah, Capella came back after his hyperextension. That's just not a team. If they can somehow pull this off, I guess maybe they have a chance, right? Make it a 2-3 series. They're only down 6 in the fourth. I mean, they like to play from behind, but it's going to take a lot from Trae Young. Philly and
Yeah,
Toronto.
that one's been a little interesting, especially since Joel Embiid, he's going to need surgery in the offseason. And
I
James Harden
watched
has been bad.
James Harden is actually, I don't know if I want to say James Harden has been, his shooting's bad. He's way under. But I love that Tyrese Maxey stepped up in the first couple of games. Joel Embiid, as you mentioned, torn ligament in his, I believe, his thumb. He looks like he actually is slowed down his game a little bit to reduce injury. Like he has to be careful. And when he has to play careful, when anybody has to play careful, it's going to slow down your game. He went for, 20 points, 21 points the last 2 games. The games before that were 33 and 31. He was getting the line 14 times. Or, I'm sorry. We counted off correctly. He's gotten to the line 11 times. 1, 2. Wait, is this series 2 to 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
11 times, 14 times, 9 times, 9 times, 6 times. He's not getting the line as much as he was in the first couple of games. I think that's when he got hurt, was probably like game 2 or 3. And when James Harden isn't stepping up and you're going against the Toronto team, to me, that Toronto team is actually not bad. Scotty Barnes looks nice. Pascal Siakam obviously is good. OG Anunoby, he's really good. Fred VanVleet's hurt though. I don't know what his injury is and how long he's gonna miss. He hurt his hip really bad.
And they're going to be in Toronto for next game.
If they win this game, and playing in Philly's tough. The Sixers at home is tough. Playing in front of those people, in front of those fans, those people, it sounded horrible. Those fans, it's tough. That's a tough stadium to win in. But I like Toronto's chances. The Sixers, they went from being almost like, oh, there's gonna be a clean sweep. I honestly thought that they were the team. I was like, there's nobody who's gonna beat them. Now I'm like, wait, they're human. They're human. Joel Embiid's human. He's hurt. Harden isn't really doing it. Tobias Harris is doing okay. He's playing his role, but Tyrese Maxey goes, even his numbers, 38 points, 23 points, 19, 11, then 12. I don't know. It's a fun series, though. Very fun series.
And moving over to the West, we have probably, I think the most exciting series out of the West is Memphis and Minnesota, another 2-7 matchup.
Yes.
And it's looking tonight, Minnesota's up. I'm pretty sure Minnesota blew a huge lead in one of the games too and
Yes.
lost.
Yes. That
So
was I believe game 3. They got
yeah,
outscored in the fourth quarter 37-12.
and they're up again in quarter 3 of game 5. So the series could have been 3-1, and this could have been a closeout game, but Minnesota's looked pretty decent. After watching the play-in tournament game with them, I thought they could have matched up well with Memphis. I'm surprised though.
Minnesota's
I
yeah.
thought Memphis would have gotten through Minnesota though. I thought it would have been like a 5-game, possibly 6-game series with Memphis taking it.
The Timberwolves are limiting John Morant. And here's the thing, though, about the Grizzlies. With or without John Morant, they're a good team. We see it. The record speaks for itself. What do they lose, like 4 games out of like 28 or something without him or something
Mm-hmm.
crazy? And yeah, game 1, 32 points. Game 2, 23 points. Every game after that, he's combined for 37 points. 3 games, 37 points. Bunch of turnovers in a couple of the games. Minnesota, to me, is playing the better basketball, minus some big runs that Memphis goes on. Memphis is a team that really, this is the first time for most of these guys in the playoffs. Desmond Bane is probably the most consistent guy on the team. I love Desmond Bane. I actually really like this Memphis team, and they still have a chance to win. It's still, what, 9-point game late in the third. But to me, Minnesota, Pat Beverly, Russell, Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, some of the guys off the bench, I feel like they've just maintained control of this series, which either says a lot about Minnesota or a lot about Memphis. I don't really know at this point until the next series, obviously. I think Minnesota's going to take that one. I think they're going to take the series.
I see it as well. I think Pat Bev has been kind of like an X factor for the Timberwolves. Kind of found a little bit of a resurgence. Was he with the Clippers last season, or was it a couple years ago? Has he been moving around?
Last season.
Okay,
First
so
year at Minnesota.
yeah, he's kind of finding a resurgence a little bit with this Timberwolves team. They have a lot of fight. Anthony Edwards, exciting. I think they take it as well. I don't know if it goes 7 games. I think game 6 is going to be at home for them.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel more confident them taking it in 6 than closing out in 7.
Yeah, if it goes to 7, I'm going Memphis. If they can pull this off, I would say they take it in 6. But if it does go to game 7, I just feel like Memphis at home in game 7, they have been the better team all season. All it's going to take is obviously these guys to pull together. But I like this Minnesota team. That's a team right there that might be missing a piece, and they could be dangerous. They could be very dangerous next season.
Very scary team out of the West. I predicted them to win the first round matchup, but the Golden State Warriors are looking really good.
I know
Jordan
they're
Poole.
facing, yeah, yeah. Yes, they're facing the Nuggets. Yes, they're facing the Nuggets without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr. Guys are hurt. Even then, you have 3 guys averaging nearly 25 points a game. Curry's averaging 27. They haven't even started him. I know we can't look at the 6-man. The 6-man's not like a real thing, right? The guy comes in and plays 30 minutes. Is he really a 6-man? Not
Yeah, he
according
sits on
to,
the bench for the first 2 minutes of the game.
yeah. But you see him having a hell of a series. You see Klay Thompson shooting. All these guys are shooting over 50%. Jordan Poole came out of nowhere. Actually, I don't want to say he came out of nowhere because in the regular season he was hooping. He was hooping.
Should have won
But
Most Improved Player of the Year. Him or Tyrese Maxey.
yeah, I agree. I don't know how John Morant got that, but I get it. you got to give him something for the year he had, I guess. It's kind of a weird thing, but the Warriors, if I have to redo my bracket, I have the Warriors probably going deeper.
Yeah, right now I could see them making the conference finals. I think I only had them going one round, and I think I had Phoenix and like Memphis in the conference final.
Yeah, I believe I have that. Yeah, we both had the same.
Draymond Green's been looking like, I feel like this is like a 2016 type Draymond that we're seeing again.
It's just really good basketball. When everybody's clicking, he's able to do what he wants to do out there. You get the physical, you get the defensive minded, and you get a guy who's dictating on the offensive side as well. Dude's averaging 8 assists a game. He's been doing it the last year or two.
And defensively has been doing well on Nikola Jokic.
Jokic.
He has to be. Would he be the smartest basketball mind in the game?
Draymond Green?
Yeah.
That's tough. Defensively wise, or just in general, like IQ?
I could see both. Yeah. Like his offensive game isn't that great, but he is a good facilitator in that offense.
Which you would have to have a good IQ. No, yeah, he's got to be one of the best. I mean, Jokic, the thing about Jokic is there's nobody in the league that can stop the Joker. Like that's just my take is there is nobody that will ever stop Jokic from averaging 25, 30 with 15 boards. Like nobody's going to stop that. He's a 7-footer that can shoot the long ball if he has to. Last 2 games, 37 points apiece. Double-double here. He's getting his assist. In those times, and this is, I know, DeMarcus Cousins stepped up in the last game as well, who hasn't really gotten a lot of playing time. I just don't see if they're doing this and Jokic, I mean, to me is dominating the Warriors, and they just have he has no help. But it's weird because, like, if this wasn't the Warriors and they didn't, you have a team that doesn't have a Draymond Green who's as physical, who's as smart as he is, Denver might be going to the second round. But when you got guys who can obviously shoot the ball, they can go shot for shot with anybody. But then when the time matters and that defense is stepping up, I mean, they won by almost 20 points in the first 2 games. Courtesy of Draymond Green, is averaging almost 2 steals a game. To me, that says a lot. Offense is going to do it, but when you have somebody like Draymond, like you said, 2016 Draymond, that little stretch, even though he's got grays on his beard now a little bit, I definitely agree with you that this is easily the scariest team right now in the NBA playoffs. One of the scariest.
Especially with Jordan Poole looking like a cloned Steph Curry at the moment.
It's nuts.
Like, that would be crazy if they made... How wild would it be? Boston Warriors in the finals. I don't think anyone would have really predicted that. It would have been... It's going to be a cool matchup if that happens, but I don't know if anyone would have predicted that.
Yeah, I would never, ever. I wonder what predicting that finals matchup would have paid out. That's got to be a plus, at the beginning of the season, a plus 1,000.
Mm-hmm. Moving on.
10 times.
We might be seeing the end of the Utah team that they've had the past few seasons. I thought they were the number 1 seed or close to it the past few seasons. This year they were 5th. Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. This is not looking like the team that will get them to the promised land.
They scored 77 points in their last game. Stick a fork in them.
Against the Mavericks.
Against Dallas, who I get, Dallas has been a good team. It seems like they got way better by trading away Porzingis. But they didn't have Luka. We're talking about Luka has only played 2 games in the series out of 5 games so far. And if you can't win when Luka's gone, to me, you're a fraud. I've always looked at Utah as being frauds. And I don't know if it's Rudy Gobert. Obviously, he's got like his style of play. Donovan Mitchell shooting under 40%. Jordan Clarkson looks good. This team just isn't it. There's so many missing pieces. I don't want to say they have to do a rebuild, but they're probably better off going through a rebuild and trading some of these big pieces. Sign and trade. I mean, Gobert's probably gone. Definitely some pieces. I like Dallas. Dallas is a cool team. I don't think they're gonna really get past the second round, but they're looking really nice right now against this Utah team that's supposed to be great defensively, and obviously they're just no match. They're no match for Spencer Dinwiddie. They're no match for Luka. They're no match for any of these other guys. Jalen Brunson, can't forget about him. Got to put some respect on
Oh
Jalen
man,
Brunson's name.
Jalen Brunson. He's gonna be a free agent too.
He's nice. He's super nice. Smaller guard, but I mean, what is he? 6'1"? If he scores the ball, I mean, that's all you need.
Yeah, and I think I think he's always been decent. It's just this is the first year they've had Jason Kidd, right?
I believe so.
I think Rick Carlisle like just didn't like him, or the system he built didn't really showcase it. But yeah, Jalen Brunson's pretty solid, and Jason Kidd, he's showing that by playing him a lot and getting him looks.
Yeah, this team's been playing nice. And of course, Finney Smith defensively is very nice. So they can compete. They can compete. I don't think that they're that nice to where a team like Utah, who's supposed to be this all hoorah, top 4, top defense, and they have these offensive weapons. To me, they're frauds. They're frauds. They shouldn't have been even number 5 in the West.
And then the final series is Phoenix and New Orleans. It's tied. Devin Booker out. And New Orleans is looking to steal this series.
New Orleans.
New Orleans look pretty nice without Zion.
I think that this team, roster-wise, probably is the best team in the playoffs. They just are a weird team when it comes to experience, minus CJ McCollum, who's bringing the experience. Valanciunas has been around the block a little bit. But we have guys like Brandon Ingram going off. Brandon Ingram looks nice. CJ McCollum's nice. Yeah, Jose Alvarado sneaking up behind you on an inbound. He looks nice. Herb Jones he had a couple huge blocks in the last game. I like the Pelicans. I like the Pels. It's just unfortunate that Devin Booker got hurt because I think that the Suns are the better team while healthy.
Yeah, we saw last year without pretty much CP3, they beat the Lakers.
Yeah, my thing about the Suns is I'm not going to call it karma, but they kind of had an easy route to the finals because I felt like everybody they played was hurt. Anthony Davis and everybody else. So, but with that being said, the Suns still have very good dynamic. Their chemistry's good. They still have guys, stepping up. They got the guys off the bench. They got Cam Johnson. They have Jay Crowder. They have JaVale McGee, depending on how often he plays, if he plays. They have Michael Bridge. They have these pieces. So I still think they could pull off this series. But I think right now, with Devin Booker hurt, this is the Pelicans series to lose.
I just sent you a poster from Ja Morant.
Whoa. Wild. That is a wild dunk. All right. Anyways, if you guys are listening to this and you did not see the highlights, go watch the Ja Morant dunk heard around the world. That he cocked that back, and I don't even know who he threw it down on. I'm surprised there was no call.
Malik.
Is that Malik Beasley?
Yeah.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah, dunked on Malik Beasley, who was outside the circle underneath the basket. What's that called?
The restricted area.
Yeah, he was outside that and he still got dunked on.
Wow, I'm surprised they didn't call a foul, but I'm glad they didn't. That's nuts. Yo, John Morant. He's trying. He's trying right now. That was the end of the third quarter. It's going to be a good fourth quarter. And that's pretty much it for the playoffs. I mean, Phoenix, we know, I mean, I don't really have much to say other than without Booker, that team really isn't gonna, they might get lucky. If they can pull off this series, their next round is I'm not gonna say easy. I think it's gonna be a tough series against Dallas, assuming Dallas wins. But to me, it's another walk in the park until the Western Conference Finals.
Next time we record, we'll talk about more NBA stuff. We'll be in the conference semifinals around then. I'm honestly surprised there isn't more sweeps. Normally the first round of the playoffs, you see that, or you see 5-game series. You don't normally see 7-game series with like every single or most series. Bulls are probably going to end in 5 games. But yeah, over in the baseball world, Cubs and Sox are doing okay. The Cubs put up 21 runs over the weekend against the Pirates. They won 21-0, which, fun fact, is a higher deficit that they've beat the Pirates than the Bears have beat the Steelers.
Ever?
The Bears have only beat the Steelers by 20 points before, and the Cubs have beat the Pirates by 1 more point in their game. To be fair, the Bears only play the Steelers every so often, so they don't get as many opportunities. But fun fact, Cubs are currently 7-9 on the year. They're 3-7. They lost all the other 3 games against the Pirates. Can't happen. And then they lost a decent amount against the Rays. They've just played okay baseball. The White Sox, Eloy Jimenez is going to be out for a bit again. They're 6-9 on the year. They've lost 7 in a row. They've looked just okay. Tony La Russa, they got smoked against Cleveland. They got swept against Cleveland. And Tony La Russa has been playing Larry Garcia in the 3 spot some games.
I don't get it. They get Timmy Anderson back from his 1 or 2 game suspension. He's looked good. Andrew Vaughn's looked good. The pitching's been rough. The pitching's been very rough. Eloy goes down. Probably going to be out, 2 months again? We lost Eloy for a while last year. This time he tore his hamstring. We saw that with Nick Madrigal last year. They get swept by Cleveland. Turn around, they get swept by Minnesota. As of right now, they're down 6-0 in the 7th inning against Kansas City. It is not looking good right now for White Sox baseball. Obviously, baseball's a very long season. It's early in the season. But these are the divisional games that you need to take. You need to take these games. Can't help that Byron Buxton single-handedly is destroying the baseball. Not just the Sox, just in general. I know, he's a dog.
Good.
He's a dog. But, yeah, they're going to have to turn it around. They are on a huge losing streak right now. Few of these games, they scored 1 run. They've scored no runs tonight. If you're going to have all these bats and your pitching's going to suck, that's one thing. You can compete. You can win 7-6 games, 7-5 games. But when nobody's doing it and there's injuries and you have Coach Dingleberry with his head up his ass, Lurie Garcia batting 3rd for a couple of games, which, okay, fine. Not really. But, I mean, the dude can't even hit. He's got 4 hits on the season. He's got 4 hits on the season. And 41 at-bats.
The swing rate from the White Sox is killing them early on. Like, we know Jose Abreu produces, Luis Robert produces, Tim Anderson produces. But when they are all not playing well and they swing at every single pitch that's thrown their direction, hurts their team a lot, especially where they're positioned in the lineup.
Yep. This is a team that likes to swing. I really don't have much to say. All I know is that the game against Minnesota, which I believe was Sunday, they blew that lead, and then Byron Buxton hits the walk-off home run.
2 home runs that game.
Both of them to at least tie the game, one to win the game. That's crazy. That's Liam Hendricks, who's a great closer, obviously. Lucas Giolito's been pitching okay. Giolito's actually looked not too bad. We'll see. It's still early. The weather's only going to get better. Not trying to throw any excuses out there, but luckily the division is not that strong. Minnesota's in first at 500, 8-8. So we're okay, Southsiders. We're okay. Cubs, on the other hand, maybe not. Their division usually a little bit tougher. Milwaukee looks okay. St. Louis looks okay. Pittsburgh right now looks kind of okay, but
They
they'll
just
end up.
took 3 wins from the Cubs.
Well, they'll dwindle down a little bit. The Cubs, we'll see. The Cubs bats look okay, some of them. So
The Mets are looking really good at 13-5. Francisco Lindor is back. The NL West is 4 teams with 10 wins. Kind of crazy there. In the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't know if we talked about Vlad. I think we did in the last podcast. Vladdy hitting 3 home runs in a game. 2 off Garrett Cole.
That was nuts.
Still very early in the MLB season. We're going to see a lot of turnaround in the standings, but it's been fun to watch. There's been a lot of exciting moments. Jazz Chisholm, he's been fun to watch. He's finally getting put in that leadoff spot, hitting homers.
I'm a huge fan right now of the Blue Jays. I'm just looking at the standings right now, and I believe, did you have them in the East in your prediction as taking the division?
Yes, yeah, I did.
I believe you did. I did not, I don't think.
You had the Rays.
Yeah, and just looking at this start so far, and again, we know this is arguably the toughest division in baseball because anything can happen. But just Vladdy, Guerrero, Chapman looks pretty nice so far. Bo Bichette will get it going. Yeah, and their pitching is pretty good. I like this team. I like this team a lot. I still think the Yankees still might end up. I don't want to say surprising us because it shouldn't be a fucking surprise that the Yankees take the division. But in a way, it is because of how they haven't taken a division, or really, they haven't been the best team in baseball, even though they have the best players in baseball. It's just the weirdest thing. But they still have a chance too. They definitely still have a good chance. So we'll see. This is gonna be a long season. So buckle up. This is gonna be a fun season. This will definitely be a fun season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm already on pace to break the amount of games in a season I've been to. I went to like 15 or 16 last season. I've already been to 3 this year. I plan on going to 1 next week, 4. And I thought I was going to take it a little easy this season. It's just fun to go to games.
Yeah, I will. I'll be joining you at a few of these games. I'm gonna go to at least 2 in Wrigley and 2 at the Cell.
Yeah,
Guaranteed rate field.
Cubs play the Sox next week. 2 games.
Is that it? And their series is done.
Well, they play 2 games. They're
They still
both
do,
midweek.
okay.
They're both midweek matchups, and it's like one's in May and one's in like June. Compared to, it's normally better when it's like in the summer when people are out.
Yeah, and on a weekend series. That sucks.
Yeah, I don't like it. At least next year it'll be full game series because of the schedule change. But I don't like the early matchup between the Cubs Sox.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find my way going to the game, one of those games, but we'll see though. Not, I don't know. Middle of the week, it's kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
Early,
Yeah, and I would rather just watch them.
yeah,
I don't know if NFL news, the draft is this week.
it
So
is.
next
Yes,
podcast will cover the NFL draft.
Green Bay, please go after Debo Samuel. Please trade.
Yeah, Debo, he'll probably be on the move. He does not want to play the hybrid role that he's playing.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. You can't. You're literally saying he's got to be the best offensive player, get the ball most of the time, as much as probably as much, if not more, than Derrick Henry. To me, that's like the fastest way to wear and tear. Deserves a lot of money as it is. The market's gone up for receivers. So keep him there. Green Bay, I know it's I believe Detroit, the Jets, New York Jets, and I believe Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken. I know that they have their name in the hat right now. They have 2 first-round draft picks. It might take one of those draft picks, and it might take another piece, or a couple of future draft picks, like we've seen with Tyreek Hill. So if they can do that, do that. This will be the best thing they can do, on top of maybe still draft a receiver since the MVS is gone. And they're going to need, I believe they're going to need an offensive lineman there. I don't know which side, but they're going to need one. So, of course, depending on where guys play, they move sometimes. So give Rodgers the pieces he needs so that we can stop looking at him like a drama queen and as actually like a winner. Because after this year, I just don't know how many more years his window is. Truly, I have no idea. Maybe he does end up playing until he's 40, 42, like Brady. Obviously, Brady's a little bit older, but we'll see. We'll see. But stay tuned. Next week's going to be a good episode. We're definitely going to have some draft updates, some trades. Be ready. Definitely. I'm ready. I'm ready.
That's going to do it, though, for this week's episode of the Standing Room Only podcast. You guys have now followed us on Twitter and Instagram at SROnlyPod. You can follow our personal accounts. Mine is at the Healy6 on Twitter and Instagram.
And I am iGoose with 4 O's. You can find me everywhere. Follow us. And we'll see you guys next week.